Hi all, good morning to this session from LiveLaw Academy. I'm Parvati, and today in this session, we're going to have a wonderful discussion on the systematic approach to narcotic drugs and substances. So today we have with us Dr. P. Ajay, who's the Deputy Director at the Center for Excellence of NDPS at the National Forensic Sciences University, Gandhinagar. Welcome to this discussion, sir.
Thank you,
So
madam.
Thank you. Thank you. Today, we're having this discussion, everybody, as a precursor to this course we're launching at LiveLaw Academy. The course is starting from 19th of February. It is a 2 weeks online certificate course where we'll be teaching the law relating to narcotic drugs and arms in India. Taking these two subjects together, we'll be having this course for the first time in India. And it's an online certificate course. It's a course that's meant for law students, for people working in the enforcement side, as well as lawyers. So more details about this course again at the end of this discussion. But right now let's just head on to this discussion. So, sir, when we say narcotic drugs, can you first define what do we mean by drugs?
Yeah, madam. I'll take you one step back when we talk narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. So there are two important terms. One is drug and another is the substance. Substance we all know very well. Anything which is having a distinct or I'll call discrete origin, that is substance. But when we come about the drug, what is a drug? Prior to the knowing about the narcotic drug, I'll say, but just we should think about what is a drug. So drug is nothing but, if you will talk about the definition, it is a chemical substance which is used to prevent or cure a disease. This is the actual intended use or purpose for any of the drug. But when we talk about the narcotic drugs, so narcotic drugs are actually nothing new. They are not a new substances. I repeat, they are not a new or the novel substances. These are the substance which exist in the society for a long while. They are being used for the treatment of so many disease or for the other chemical requirement, other chemical processes, or even in the industries for different purposes. But what has started is abuse. So the intended use, when you use it for the treatment of a disease, prevention of disease, it is a use. The problem starts with abuse. So narcotic drug or the psychotropic substances, they are themselves are also very important or the powerful drugs being used for some other purposes. But what people have started? They have started abusing. Now what is abuse? Utilization of the drug anything other than intended purpose. What for whatever it was required, we have started using it for something else. Now why do they use like that? Usually there are two situations. First one we will call is the euphoria. Euphoria means extreme happiness, extreme sorrow. You're smiling, laughing for 2 days. I'll say sorry, not 2 days, for many hours, and crying for whole the day. This is something euphoria. And when we talk about one more thing, hallucination. Hallucination is, it is nothing but it is a state you are feeling something which does not exist as you are walking in the sky, like that. So I'll now come back to the narcotic drugs. So narcotic drugs are nothing but, these are the drugs, is clear. Now I can define the narcotic. So narcotic drugs are the drugs which creates insensitivity. They reduce your sensitivity. So it may be called stupor, it may be called drowsiness, it may be called sleepiness, whatever you want, you can call it. But they are creating insensitivity. So why? They are being used now, will since they are capable to cause insensitivity, they will definitely reduce your pain. So if I'll talk about the morphine itself is a very useful drug, and the intended use is pain relief in the case of severe pains. But people have started using it for some other purposes. So these are the narcotic drugs, are the drugs which increases insensitivity.
Yes, sir. So I think this discussion, even when we go ahead with this, even the division that we've given in the actual course is the first unit we've completely dedicated it to understanding what are these narcotic drugs and psychotropic
Yes.
substances. Because only when we understand what these are, do we come to the question of abuse and then later on to the legal sides. So now coming to why this question of trafficking now becomes even more crucial, especially I think after the COVID-19 pandemic, people getting a lot more time at home, students getting a lot more time at home, this question of trafficking and everything has increased in multifolds. So even the policies, even the lawyers from all ends are trying to curb this menace to the society. And from us, our end, from LiveLaw, what we're trying to do is basically do a course on this so that there's more enlightenment in the society among the students as well as among the lawyers and everybody. Now, if we can we kind of take this conversation to the legal provisions of NDPS? And can you elaborate a bit on the legal provisions of NDPS?
See, madam, if we will talk about the legal provision, first of all, legal provision started because people were taking these drugs for abuse purposes. Then the society, if the society will be drug addict, I'll just take one sentence. What is a human? Human is a social animal. If you will remove the society, it is an animal. So this is our civilization, this is our development, which has taken, I'll say, thousands of years to be grown as civilized man from an ape. But if a drug addict, you will talk about him or her, he is only a man, he is simply animal. There is no society exists for him. Mother will not remain mother, father will not remain father. They need drug and simple behave like an animal. So the problem starts from here. When internationally or in the developed country, which we call today developed, like the European countries or the American countries, when people started abusing of the drug, the law enforcement agencies and the government realize if it will progress in a similar manner, there will be no society. So they came together. And we all know a very important organization globally is the UN. United Nations is the most important organization. They all came together, and there would be some other initial, you will say, steps were taken by them. But if I'll talk about the concrete and the globally recognized step, it was the United Nations Convention on the Drugs, 1961. If we talk about the UN Convention 1961, it was about narcotic drugs. It was about narcotic drugs. Then after 10 years, they came with one more convention, UN Convention 1971. It was about psychotropic substances. When these both conventions came, India was also a founder member signatory of these conventions. Later on, what happened? They asked uh, in countries also to regulate, to prohibit the possession of these drugs and consumption of these drugs. Then India also came out with its Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985. So it is a very important tool, legal tool, which we are having in our country, and it is in line with the International Convention of the 1961 and 1971. When we come to the next step, then we are having so many, nowadays we are having so many organizations in the country, state as well as central, who regulate. One is the Central Bureau of Narcotics. They are regulating the distribution. I'll call it distribution, means whatever, in the whatever form, in a legalized form, they control it, regulate it. So they also have their standing orders, standing order 88, standing order 87. Apart from them, since in India, there's an important fact is that apart from illicit trafficking or consumption, there is a licit cultivation is also permitted in the country. Government is also doing the licit cultivation in the three states, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Rajasthan. And we ourselves are having our factories of the opium alkaloid factories for the requirement of our medicinal purposes. We need them for the in the for a form of drugs also. So it all is related. This all is related to the financial and the money matters also. So when we talk about this, it comes under the Ministry of Finance, Department of Revenue, NCBC, CBN, Central Bureau of Narcotics. Recently, in addition to NDPS and Act and all, considering the so many shortcomings and the problem arising, what has happened? They have come out with a guideline. They have come out with a guideline in the December 2022. It is a sampling disposal guidelines about the narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. So these are some, I'll say, documents or the provisions which are related to regulation of all these things.
Yes, thank you, sir. So I think along with this, we'll have a bigger discussion that needs to be done because
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
yes, even though you've mentioned these short things, going into the details of that as law students, as lawyers, it's very much important to know the in-depth of all these provisions. So
Sure.
now I'll just briefly take our audience throughout through the course structure, what we're going to follow. So over the course of 12 working days, it's going to be a 2-week course, out of which we'll have Mondays to Saturdays class from 7 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. We've kept that time totally keeping in mind the needs of students as well as working professionals. So that working days, if you can take from 7 to 8:15 p.m., what we're giving you is notes, materials, a little test somewhere in the middle of that. And along with all this, an interaction with people from all walks of the act as well, of the NDPS Act as well as the Arms Act. So we're thinking lawyers, we're thinking academicians like sir, and we're also thinking people who are working in the police field also related to such
Sure.
preventions. So with all of this, we've divided the course briefly into 4 units. So in the first part of the course, over the course of 12 days, you'll be understanding how to study and what is really narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. In the second unit, we'll be talking about the prohibition, the control, and the regulation of such substances. In the third unit, we'll talk about what are the enforcement provisions, what are the punishments that are given under the NDPS Act. Now, here is, I think, where we'll have to involve more lawyers and everybody to understand how this plays out in the practical field. So as a lawyer or as a litigation person, someone who's working in the litigation arena, this course becomes especially important to know how this NDPS Act becomes applied in the real life scenarios and how you have to advocate for these particular cases. And finally, we'll talk about the regulation of the Arms Act. Now, bringing Arms Act and NDPS together, I think LiveLaw and Legal Hands has brought in first time in India, a particular course like this, bringing these two substances together. So for those of you who are interested to register for our course, in the description of this YouTube video, there is the link to register. And also you can reach out to me directly, parvati@livelaw.in, PARVATI @livelaw.in, if you have any queries regarding this course or the registration format. The registrations are open right now. We've priced the course at 3,999. It's a 2-week online certificate course. So looking forward to seeing many of you there in the extended course with us, along with sir and many other teachers as well. Yes. Sir, if there are any closing remarks that you'd like to state?
No, ma'am. Just I would like to say it is a very important and the concurrent topic, and we need to focus on it. And the government is also very much concerned. Honorable Home Minister is focusing definitely. NCB is planning drug-free India by 2047. And as more awareness we can generate among all the stakeholders, I'll call the judiciary, investigator, prosecutor, forensic scientist, it's definitely in the interest of country, and it's in the interest of national policy on narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. So it's a great effort, and I am grateful to you people also to make me a part of this, and being a stakeholder to create this awareness and pursuing the mission of our honorable Prime Minister and Home Minister against these drugs. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you. We are also very happy to be collaborating with Legal Hands and all of these wonderful academicians for this course. So looking forward to seeing many of you there with us. Thank you so much.